Are you over 30 and life looks great, you're thriving on paper, but deep down you're just wondering, is there actually more to life than this? Is this the life that I am supposed to be living at my ripe old age? Well, I've been asking myself this question for, it feels like years, actually years. I am so grateful for where I'm at in life. I'm so grateful for my family, my home, my career. I have so much to be thankful for. But that sort of question of, is this it, has been plaguing me for years. And when I first started this channel, it was kind of a way to experiment whether I could do this, whether this was something that would give me joy or bring me peace, or well, not peace, but something that would fill my cup. And it did for a while, and it still does really, but I have so much else going on that I had to take a break from this channel. And despite pausing my experiments, I've really been thinking about that point. So I'm a doctor in obstetrics and gynecology. I've been doing so for at least 11 years. I'm a parent, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I have a great group of friends, I have a great church, and I'm happy. On paper, I am thriving. And being able to say that I'm happy is new for me, unfortunately. I think for so long I was so bogged down by this question of what's next, what am I actually meant to be doing, that I got caught up in my head that that was the most important answer in life. But actually the actual answer is just getting on with it, right? And just getting on with life. But I don't want to trivialize it. Sometimes you can be so caught up in that question of, is there more to life, that you actually forget to live. And I'm probably here because I've gone through my own process of figuring out that not having the answer to that question is okay. Being present in the life that I currently have is also okay. You can do that and work towards what your insides are calling you to be. So in my quest of what is Remy actually supposed to be doing, of what my true self feels called to do, I've been reflecting, what did 7-year-old me really want out of life? And I still don't have the answer per se. I feel closer to the answer. And I've gotten to this point through prayer, a lot of prayer, through reflecting and journaling, through therapy, and through truly coming back to self and not thinking that all the external things are what matters, but it's self that matters. And I remember, because this has been a journey, reading books, trying to figure out, oh my gosh, if I have this specific career, my joy lies there. If I achieve this in my business, my joy lies here. If I live in this house, if I do this, if my kids go to this school. And getting to a point last year that I was like, actually, none of it externally is going to make a difference. The only difference will be made is if I make some internal changes. If I start sort of sitting and coming back to who I am and becoming. And I remember my therapist actually was, you're a human being, so you have to be and not do. And the minute she said it, I was like, fine, how do I do it? How do I just be? How do I be and not do? Teach me, please, teach me. And she laughed and ignored me. And obviously it's a process of finding out how to be and how to become. But I think that when you are in your mid-30s and you have done what life tells you you needed to do in order to become, and you get there and you're like, ain't become yet, that is where the disconnect happens. And when you have that disconnect, you will need to go through your own process of trying to figure out where you're supposed to be and what feels natural to you. I've become accustomed to the fact that even if my life did not change drastically, I would still be happy. But the things that I have been doing to be more is to focus on the things in front of me, to not look for extra things to do, hence why I've had to slow down on YouTube, but to focus on my home, my marriage, my kids, myself, definitely myself, and my job. I work in the NHS as an obstetrician and gynecologist, and objectively, I enjoy my job. I enjoy treating women. I enjoy looking after them in the setting of fibroids and heavy bleeding, if they've got cancer scares, if they're pregnant, after they've had the baby, through the menopause, you name it. I have the privilege of working for a subset in the population that need my help. What's there to dislike about that? I have community and I have friends. I'm not here to brag about all the things I have. I'm just walking in gratitude. So, despite all that, I still have a goal. I still have somewhere that I want to be. And to get there, I've been reading books, I've been listening to podcasts, I've been having conversations, I've been putting myself in and out of my comfort zone. I am excited to come back to YouTube, especially this channel, to share my growth, my sort of behind the scenes. But I'm also really excited to be starting a new channel where I speak specifically to the audience that I love serving, which is women. And women, it's a huge range, right? And I think that I've known in this period of trying to figure out what's next, is this it? Can I be doing more? I kind of knew that I wanted to start a business or work for women in a different field. So clinical medicine is great, I'm not knocking it, but I do think that there's so much that can be done beyond the hospital walls. And I think I've been trying to figure out how I do that pretty much for the last 5 years. And I've done it in various forms, and I've never really had clarity about it or around it until now, I think, because I'm also really open to the fact that this could change. I could come at it from a different point of view, and my ultimate goal is always, and has always, to be serve women beyond the hospital walls, making sure that I'm making a positive impact to women, not the ones that just come into my clinic room, but the ones who I'm reaching out to meet wherever they are at, whether it's in the UK or abroad, and making my voice a voice for the betterment of women's health. But women's health is broad, like I've said. Is it gynae? Is it cancer? Is it fertility? Is it pregnancy? Like, there are so many options. And from the readings I've had, there has to be an intersection of sort of purpose, passion, and pain, I think, is the third P. Or it's do what you love, what you're good at, and what makes you money. These are all the intersections, and these are things that I've used to inform my decision. I do want to create a business, but I do want it to be something that's purposeful, passion, something I'm passionate about, something that I've also gone through. And I remember sitting on a panel last year talking about fertility, and I came from it from a very medical point of view, but it's not something that I've personally encountered or has personally been a pain point for me. And on that panel, I think it was November last year, I was like, Remy, you have had pain in regards to my health. And that would be in the form of painful periods growing up, having to miss days at school, eventually days at work, vomiting. But actually that's something that stopped really in my mid-20s when I engaged with treatment. But then I had a baby, and after my baby was born, I really, really struggled. I had trouble breastfeeding. I found it painful for up to 4 months. My daughter's there watching me as I say this. Breastfeeding in pain for 4 months, which took a toll mentally for me, because it was something that I had gotten in my mind that I wanted to do. And therefore it was painful. And I sought help, and I had low mood. And at the time of my delivery, I bled and lost quite a bit of blood, and I went home anemic. I was lucky enough to have the support of my mum and my family. But beyond that, when everyone goes away as they do, I was on my own. I suffered a bit with loneliness, but I also wanted to get on with work, and I did an exam, and I did so much in that first year as a first-time mum. And then I went on to have another baby during COVID, and a lot of those things came back up for me again. And I feel like I've never really truly recovered, right? Like, I went from being someone who knew what I wanted out of life and was a go-getter to having babies, and largely that's a process that you cannot control, that you have no control over, and not really recovering from that, but not knowing how to, and still not knowing how to. Not knowing what it means for someone to have physical, mental, and emotional social recovery, because you then go back to work and things arise from there. And I still don't really know the answer, but I know I want to solve for this season. And I know that I've got the expertise for it. I've got the personal experience for it. And I want to build a community. And I don't want to say that there are no communities for this group of women. There are. but it's whether or not I've found or come across a community that answers all three problems properly. And then as someone who's approaching her 40s, who has kind of just learned to get through life, how do I then optimize post having babies so I have a long, healthy life? So that I go through my mid-40s and my 50s healthier, able to tackle and battle the menopause, like go to war with my menopausal symptoms. And it's all these things that I'm like, I could do anything. I could stay in work and not think beyond my clinical job. I could do research, I could do health tech, I could do all of these things. But actually, this is where I've come to, that this is an area that I want to solve for. Knowing that I don't have all the answers, and knowing that as I'm researching different topics, the answers will come, clarity will come. And if that's something that interests you, something that has affected you, because again, I don't think that postpartum is something is just for women up until 6 months. I believe it can go on to 12 months. I mean, I'm 4 years after my last baby, and I think it can still show up. Please join me on that journey, because again, it's not just about recovering after that first baby. It's like, how do I prep for baby number 2, baby number 3? What if I have fertility issues? If I go into early menopause? All these things are topics that I will be covering. Depression, anxiety, low mood, PTSD, going back to work, finances, all these various topics are things that I really want to sort of dig deep down into, create a community and create a transformation for that season in life. So if that is something you're interested in, join me on that journey on Her Health Room, which I'll link down below. On this channel, I'm still going to be posting about my thoughts and my learnings and my troubles and training and my clinical career, because that's also really important to me. And I'm going to be discussing that all here about motherhood and how it pertains to me and how I'm recovering as well as creating for the women that I identify with. That's where I'm at. So am I starting over? Yes and no. Because I am taking chances. I am gonna explore, I'm gonna find out what speaks to me. And no, because I'm still a doctor, always will be, whether I practice clinically or not. My task is always going to be serving women in their health and their needs going forward. That's what I'm about. I think that's what I've come to realize is my passion and where I want to leave my mark. So yeah, follow along on the Her Health Room if you want specific educational content around postnatal care and recovery, but also follow me here if you want to figure out how I do it all, because I actually don't know, but I am looking forward to exploring that on YouTube. So if you are starting over in some way, I'd like to hear your story. What books are you reading? Tell me, please. What podcasts are you listening to? How can I encourage you and how can you encourage me? Because it's such a tricky season of life, because you've lived life one way for so long and you have doubts and you're like, can you actually do this? I think that's reasonable. I think that's life. And if it's something that you've experienced, you've got some words of encouragement, I am really open to it. But otherwise, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, and I'll catch you in my next one.